guys, welcome back into my channel. In today's episode, I'm sharing my first podcast, and this will be the first of a series. I am starting just with a solo episode, but I plan to invite other healers and light workers on here to talk about their why, or the pivotal moment and story that sort of led them down a path of the unknown that has been completely rewarding, exciting, and invigorating. So, in the spirit of being vulnerable, and I apologize in advance if you hear the rain, we are getting hammered in California right now, and I don't want it to prevent me from recording. So maybe it'll be a nice little calming meditation moment for you alongside my voice. But I wanted to share the story of my why and sort of lead with vulnerability into what made me want to share my voice more and why I'm here. So I found myself many years ago working in a career that I still work in and I love, but I was very much on a treadmill. And long story short, I felt like I ran away to Africa as far as possible, away from the current reality that I was in the Silicon Valley. And I went to volunteer in Africa. And I think that I'll start by saying our environment is completely underestimated in every way. And this trip was really the signal from my higher self that I couldn't live like this anymore. When my body was yearning to literally travel by myself to Tanzania on the other side of the world, it was time. And it wasn't only typical of my Sagittarius adventure-seeking self, which, as people know me, is very much something in line with what I would do, but it went way deeper. It was my soul longing for so much more in my daily life. And don't get me wrong, my job was amazing, and I worked with some of the most talented, wonderful people I've ever met. But I craved being free, expanding, not wearing shoes so much. That sounds wild, but really true. Literally experiencing life in a more carefree way. And the unknown seemed exciting and scary, but always a mindset I've thrived in. It's just a part of my DNA. I just wanted to wake up and live in a place of gratitude, to have a moment to digest my world. But instead, I'd fly out of bed each morning and into a photo shoot or on a flight, always rushing, dating as much as possible too. I lived in San Francisco at the time, and I don't know, after looking back, how I managed to shove so much into 24 hours. But what was terribly missing was self-care, and it just wasn't healthy. I was on a hamster wheel and there wasn't any room to breathe. I bet people thought I was borderline nuts going to Africa, but was interesting. Literally, the police stop you on the road and ask you for your ID. The piles of garbage and poverty and people living so far under the line. But juxtapose that with pure island beauty, plush green tree-lined roads, the mint green Indian Ocean, the smell of incense, batik fabrics and kangas, their native wraps, and the most memorable of that trip, the gaggle of women in circles on their porches at night. I'll never forget the visual of these beautiful women with the ornate, colorful dress, usually wearing a headscarf, just smiling and laughing without a care in the world. Talk about a mind-blowing, refreshing experience. I was the crazy American woman constantly stopping by their sheds to look at one of the Maasai jewelry bracelets or the flowy pants. If anyone knows me, I have a thing for flowy pants. The art of it all. What was their secret? They truly were poor in the material way and often living 10 people at a time in a cement block, not to mention in a hot climate with absolutely not a lick of air. But they took pride in their home, cooking meals together and finding the joy in being in the moment. At sundown each night, it was a ritual and one that I longed to have. So simple, yet something that was missing. And to me, the Bay Area felt like one giant overworked muscle of people masking themselves with fancy cars and drinks and things. All of the temporary, fleeting things that don't have any impact on our soul or what's inside. So split screen to being in America, making a lot of money, nestled up in a nice, cozy San Francisco apartment, yet I wasn't laughing. Instead, I was overworked, overwhelmed, exhausted, comparing myself to every other woman, feeling in competition at times in a city full of ego, climbing the ladder towards a false idea of success. What did success even mean? What did it mean to me? And I knew after that trip to Africa, a change was needed. The way my life was going and how I currently existed was not sustainable nor desired any longer. But you see, what's most interesting is how we as a society think more is better, and the attempt to unravel the parts of yourself and a comfortable lifestyle is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. The BMW, my gym membership, the wine memberships, the getaway trips with other women trying to mask the pain in their lives, dating coaches, family conversations, or just talking with people and feeling misunderstood to no fault of anyone, just that my soul knew I had to pivot. That was my story. When you start to look at what things you have in life, it becomes quite sobering. And I've trimmed the excess now to just the essentials, and the extra things are super meaningful and completely related to self-care, like my my razor blade membership, cryotherapy, swimming, and most importantly, my Audible book membership to feed and nurture my mind with rich, healthy content that lifts me up. Things like taking a walk in nature or looking out at the stars with a cup of tea have new meaning. You don't need stuff when you feel full within. And all of the things on the outside are just temporary. So if we rely upon them, we'll never feel satisfied, but instead really unfulfilled and constantly searching and searching and searching for more. And it will never be enough. So I've moved away from buying as status, and instead of eco-purpose and supporting our earth, and I maintain my things like the rattan slides that I bought in Bali. I'll pay to have them resold by a cobbler for $40 because they have meaning and they also have style. And they are a part of my story to finding myself. I've sold so many designer things that I've accumulated: clothing, shoes, accessories, my car, and the list goes on. My idea of richness is appreciation and hitting up a flea market in Mexico where handicrafts are unique and one of a kind, knowing a soul put their blood, sweat, and tears into making it. And if you actually took a peek inside my home, you wouldn't be surprised to see the textiles, the towels, and sarongs straw bags and artwork, along with some jewelry from other countries that I've collected all of my adult life. Most notably and recently, a wooden Buddha statue from Bali that was hand carved and it looks flawless. I become fixated just thinking of the man who spent hours to do it. It really fascinates me. And I have a mean friendship bracelet collection too. Like, it's almost embarrassing. And no matter what age I am in the physical, I will still be sporting them. So, I guess this first episode is really me just sharing a little slice of my why and why I quit my Fortune 500 six-figure job with absolutely no backup plan. And I'm not saying I recommend you do that, but for me, that's what it took to align myself with a lifestyle and a more appropriate way of living that felt like the inside was matching my outside world. And trust me, moving is hard, and finding community takes real work and effort. And as a single, dating is like another full-time job that can be really wonderful and eye-opening, and you learn so much about yourself along with other people. But it's an entire layer that we also carry around with us. And I've realized over the years that, my story, as I still date to find an appropriate, really conscious male partner, is that every time it doesn't work out, it's like the disappointments of the past 10 years and the boyfriends or relationships that didn't work out, it all becomes like a freight train that hits you again, and it's just disappointing, right? And this can be applied to fill in the blank of our lives. It's part of being a human being. But I would say that my why was something I needed to change location, and I now live, near a tropical beach and with a much more relaxed lifestyle than the San Francisco Bay Area. And while I still work and plug into many companies that exist there, I leave on my own terms, and I have the freedom to design the life that feels right for me. And I always encourage people to do the same. But one caveat, it does come with sacrifices, and there's things that you have to give up and prioritize in life to really highlight what you want and what you need. And for me, this was a really big one, and specifically around my career. So here I am on my channel, and I'm so glad that you're here listening. I also am excited to hopefully bring other people on and talk about their why and sharing the stories as healers and how they were able to find the light within themselves and able to balance and walk forward with more clarity. And most of all, which I feel I've really accelerated in these past 5 years, is diving into self-worth in a meaningful way to unconditionally love ourselves. So stay tuned for the next episode, and please feel free to drop comments down below, and I would love it if you wanted to like, share, and subscribe. I share my light and my hope through weekly guided meditations and often wisdom sessions. So I will see you very soon, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Bye. Take care.